I'm of course started live with yet another cooking stream. I hope you're all having an excellent day today. I'm pretty excited for what we have in front of us. Hello Taza, hello to NB Harmony as well, and everybody else that is in chat at the moment. I saw that we also had Emrock and Dosky. Hello, hello, hello. It's nice to see so many familiar faces and the new ones too. Welcome in. Pretty excited for today's stream. We're going to be doing a couple of new things for me. Also, hello to Blue Streak Sonic. You did arrive just in time, that's right. Just at the beginning of the stream. So today, we will be doing a couple of things that are going to be new to me. Because I want to experiment. I want to do some new stuff and I want to be able to expand what I'm capable of doing in the kitchen. And all of this started, also hello to Resurgence Guild, welcome, welcome. All of this started today because of these bad boys right here. These are sweet potato noodles, aka glass noodles. There's a couple of kinds of glass noodles, but essentially the idea with glass noodles is these are made with an isolated starch, sometimes mung bean starch, or in this case, these are made from sweet potato starch, and they are really, really delicious. They have a fantastic bounce to them, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh fuck, I want some sweet potato noodles. I want some glass noodles in my life at the moment. I do love glass noodles. Also, hello to Possum. Also, hello to the Dicksterminator. Oh, hi. Oh, that's you. Hi, welcome, welcome. But yes, we have some glass noodles. And so, in traditional Korean cooking, it is not very common for us to see them be used in something like a stew. I'm not going for the traditional route. I'm going to be doing a stew because it's cold outside. It was like 35 degrees in New York today. Miserable. And raining too. Okay? So I want to make a glass noodle stew. I was going to do that with some pork belly. I was going to do that with a bunch of vegetables. I have all of these lovely mushrooms right here. Okay, look at this assortment. Look at this. These are some of my favorite mushrooms, 2 of them to be exact. We have some shiitakes and we also have some enoki mushrooms. So, let me talk some shit for a second. Everybody, when they say, oh, I hate mushrooms, the only mushrooms that they've ever eaten have been either white button mushrooms or portobello mushrooms or cremini mushrooms, and they're all effectively the same. Okay, they're all the same. These are completely different mushrooms that are used in all sorts of different, like, Asian cuisines. These are some of my favorites. I love shiitakes to death. Shiitakes, especially in something like a stew, they're best described as juicy. These are juicy mushrooms. You bite into them, they have the best texture, they have the best snap. And then you have enoki mushrooms. Look at these bad boys. Okay, they have a tendency to sometimes get stuck in your teeth, but I love to chew in them, especially if I'm eating like a ramen, or sometimes I have these in like yakisoba or something, and I thought they would make an excellent addition to the stew. So we have the enokis, which are a little bit more seafood tasting, and the shiitakes, which are really like mushroomy and meaty and juicy, and I love the flavor that they give, and they're gonna help to flavor the broth that we make. Also, hello to Lego Batman fan. Cooking is enhanced by the occasional fuck, that's right. You're so right, Blobfish. Okay. We have some pork belly. This is all going to go into the stew itself. And then what do we also have going in? I have a bunch of spinach that I washed up, tossed in the salad spinner. And let me talk some shit. Let me talk some shit for a second. Okay? You see this? You know what this is? This is spinach. What kind of spinach? Adult spinach. The way it was meant to be. You know what I hate? I hate boxed baby spinach. That's right, I'm gonna say it right now. I hate boxed baby spinach. Why? It is inexplicably $4 at the supermarket. It's trapped inside of a plastic container, and it's always sweating and past the point where it is fresh. I hate it, and people buy it because it's sold in supermarkets and it's already pre-washed and it comes in a big funny little box. But the truth is, you're overpaying for leafy greens that you really shouldn't be paying that much for. I bought twice as much. This is half of what I bought. You know how much? $2.50. $2.50 for this massive thing of spinach times 2. Adult spinach. Buy it. I got this at my local Chinese grocery store. It's excellent, it's delicious, and it's gonna cook down beautifully into the stew. Okay? That makes sense, Zia. A lot of people feel that way as well. But I'm glad I got that spinach rant out of the way. It is something I feel quite passionately about. That boxed spinach, that pre-boxed, pre-washed spinach, it's not so good. It's not so good, it's not so fresh, it's a little bit wasteful, and it's too expensive for what it is. Okay, so write that down. If you're not writing this down, you're making a mistake. Okay, next, what do we have? We also have some ginger, and we also have some garlic and onion that's gonna go into the stew, and soy sauce, and a little bit of fish sauce too. First 2 bags of shredded cheese, now this? Yes, this too. I'm sorry, I don't like your baby spinach. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. Okay, And then we gotta talk about the eggplant. So these, my friends, these go by a lot of different names. You can see them as Japanese eggplants, you can see them as Chinese eggplants, okay? But in reality, they are kind of the same flavor-wise compared to any other kind of eggplant. Eggplants all tend to taste the same. The only difference is the size and the texture of these. And the reason why these are pretty important, and why we're using Chinese eggplants for the stuffed eggplants, is they'll cook faster because they're nice and thin. As opposed to Western eggplants, which are really, really thick, those take forever to cook. And I don't normally make Korean eggplants. I usually do like Mediterranean preparations, where you would burn the skin of the eggplant and then cook it to death. Okay? But in this case, these are thin so they'll be able to cook a lot quicker without us having to overcook it to death. And we're going to stuff this. And it's a Korean stuffed eggplant. You know what that means? Gochujang, gochugaru, sesame oil, sesame seeds, onion, garlic. It's gonna be all the good stuff. It's gonna be all like the classic quintessential Korean flavors. And then we're gonna pop it into a steamer, okay? We're gonna pop it in the steamer and it's gonna steam for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I think we'll also make a little bit of rice. So we have a lot to do today. We have a lot of ingredients. You can see behind me how much produce we actually have to get through. And I'll show you what you need to be doing with all of it. So, I have a question. Are we ready? And for anybody that's new here, it is customary to say yes, chef, whenever they ask you a yes or no question. Or no, chef, if it's applicable. But this is not one of the times it's applicable. Okay. We have a little sip of water while I wait. Good. Excellent. That's what I want to see. Good job. I'm proud of you, my little Sioux champs. Okay. Guess what? It's time for us to begin some prep work. So, we have to think about the order of operation of things. The eggplant in total, once we make the stuffing for it, it only steams for like 20 minutes or so. The stew is going to be the thing that takes the longest, but we have a lot of ingredients that we need to chop up. So let's get started with all of that now. Let's head to the overhead camera. How's Chef doing? I am doing excellent. Thank you very much. Had a very busy day today, been running errands, and now I'm excited to cook. So actually, there is one step that I think we need to get out of the way first. First, I'm gonna glove up. I need to soak the glass noodles. I've never cooked glass noodles before in my life. I wanted to make them. I think they're delicious. I love the texture of them. I've never made them before. To my understanding, you always start by first giving them a nice pre-soak. I see some people do it in boiling water. I see people do it in cold water. So I'm gonna first try a cold water soak. Oh, am I gonna have to tear this open? Is that what's gonna have to happen here? No, I see. Sweet. Excellent, in fact. Open sesame. Oh, NB Harmony. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you and I'm gonna teach you. You've come to the right place. So, we have all of these sweet potato noodles, glass noodles. And again, glass noodles can be made from several different things. I think we should do, for today, maybe like 2 or 3 of these. And I think this bowl is too tiny. So we won't even be able to properly soak it in this vessel. I need a vessel that will be able to properly contain all of my noodles. So let's see. Yeah, this seems like the 1 portion each. We'll do 3 of these. Well, is that a lot of noodles? It'll be fine. We're making a lot of stew. It's gonna be good. Okay, I am gonna go ahead and quickly fill this up with some nice cold water. And to my understanding, this needs to soak for about, 20 to 30 minutes or so. Or as long as, until we need it, of course. And this is going to, again, it's my first time doing this, I don't know how valid this is, but it's just going to get a little head start on the absorption of it, so that it doesn't completely soak up all of the broth when we put it into the stew itself, okay? But again, it's my first time playing around with this. For example, I don't soak my rice anymore. People say, oh, you have to soak sushi rice and haigu rice. I don't do that, and it comes out excellent anyways. So I have a little bit of doubt in my mind, but I think it'll definitely stop it from absorbing too much of the stew. So that's why I am justifying doing this now, okay? We're gonna fill up this bowl with water, and I'm gonna set it aside. You want everything nicely submerged. But yes, normally I like to challenge traditional cooking notions like these, because I don't think they're always true, and people kind of do them sometimes, because that's what people have said you need to do. Okay, these are all submerged as much as they can be. I'm gonna go ahead and set these aside until we need them, and we're just gonna throw them into the stew itself. And again, in Korean cooking, glass noodles would only be like used in like some kinds of like salads, or I guess most famously would be in japchae, right? Where you would blanch the noodles and then you would take it out and then it would be mixed with like a bunch of stir-fried stuff. So this I'm gonna go ahead and throw to the side. I have no use for this for now. And now we have to think, what do we need? First step, we have some onion. We're going to need half of this onion for the stew itself, and we're going to need half of the onion for the stuffing for the eggplant. Okay, and we're going to prepare each of them a little bit differently. We're going to slice it slightly differently. So, I have a bowl already that I can use for this. I'm gonna have a separate plate. What are we doing today? Excellent question. It's all in the title. We'll be doing a pork belly glass noodle stew and some Korean stuffed eggplants. So, at the moment, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a separate little dish. We're going to cut the head, right? An onion, there's two parts to it. There's the head, and then there's the root. We keep the root end intact because it's gonna keep the layers intact when we slice it, and I'll show you exactly what we mean. We're gonna cut the head off. All that dried skin can go. We have no use for it. Then we're gonna go take the onion, and we're going to slice it halfway down the root of it, okay? Now watch this. Because of the fact that we sliced it, peeling it is going to be a lot easier. We take the onion, we can just peel the skin off now that we've cut it in half, okay? Getting rid of all of this onion skin. That one's a little bit wilted. That's okay. Excellent. And now we have two lovely little onion halves. Okay? Excellent. Yes, chef. Happy to hear it, NB. I'm gonna clean up my cutting board using my bench scraper because the skin tends to get stuck to it. So, once again, half of this onion is gonna go into the stew itself, and half of the onion is going to go into the stuffing. So, we're going to prepare them a little bit differently. This onion half, right here, this is gonna be for the stuffing. I'm gonna show you guys how to get a nice small dice out of this, okay? We want a nice fine dice because we want this to evenly fit into the slices of the eggplant. Stupid blobfish, you're crying from the onions being cut purely through empathy. But when you have a nice sharp knife, you will never cry from cutting an onion. Don't chop it, slice it, and have a nice sharp knife, and you won't ever cry. So, make a nice little claw, okay? And we're going to make some nice incisions pretty close together because we want a nice small dice on this onion, right? We're making some nice incisions all the way through. Now, as you can see, the onion almost like fans out, but it's all held together because we didn't cut all the way through it. We're holding it together by the root end. It is in the title, but I don't understand everything. Like, what is a stew? Okay, Kirby Goland, excellent question. So for any of you that might not know what a stew just usually refers to a slightly thickened, but not necessarily always thickened, soup that has, I guess it's a hearty soup. That is the only difference between a stew and a soup, right? A soup would be a little bit lighter, I feel like contextually and socially, and a stew would be a little bit heartier, maybe have some more starches, maybe have some more meat in it, something like that. Okay, and now we're just going to slice all the way through using the full length of the knife, and we're going to get a nice small dice, just like this, okay? And we're going to make sure that the cutting board never gets too crowded. We take the bench scraper. Oh, I ended up spilling some off my table. That's unfortunate, did not want to do that at all. Stew has milk in it. Stew can have milk in it. Okay, so I remember that scene sauce. There was a scene in Fullmetal Alchemist where they're like, you know, how can stew be so tasty even if it has milk in it? I remember when Edward said that. And the reality is some stews have milk in it, yes. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about a bolognese. A bolognese, a traditional Italian bolognese, has milk in it. And sometimes egg yolks in it as well. Okay? So, guess what? That onion is now perfectly diced all the way through. We're just gonna get the rest of it out. Toss that away because we don't need the root end anymore. And that, my friends, is the onion that's going to go into the stuffing for the eggplant. And now while we're at it, we may as well slice up the other onion. And so for the stew, we're going to slice off the root end. Okay, in this case we don't need it because we're going to slice it down this way. I'm going to show you. We're going to get nice thin slices using a claw once again. And we're cutting it parallel to the grain of the onion. Not perpendicularly, not like this, but we're getting nice slices of onion like so. Okay? Excellent. That is a sliced onion. And again, there's going to be plenty more onion in the form of scallion, right? So scallion's going to come in as well. Okay. This I'm going to go ahead and dump into the bowl. The onion for the stew is not actually going to get sauteed or anything. It's not going to get cooked in oil. It's just going to be purely cooked in the water and the soy sauce and stuff. So I'm going to mix that with the mushrooms when we get to it so we don't have to have a million bowls. Okay. In the meantime, let's talk about my scallions. This is your essential vegetable that is used everywhere in Korean food or, all East Asian cuisines, right? And the scallion is going to go basically in every single part of each of these dishes. We're going to have some scallion that ends up getting sauteed for the stuffing. We're going to have some scallion that goes into the stew, and we're going to have some scallion that goes into the garnish. Okay, so it's going to be quite a bit. For the stuffing itself, let's go ahead and grab 2 of these. We're going to do 2 scallions, and we're going to cut it up and put it with the minced onion, okay? Because they're going to get added. Actually, maybe I should add them a little bit later. I'm going to add them later only because scallions have a tendency to burn a little quicker than onions do, okay? So we're going to actually set those aside in a different place. In the meantime, let's just cut these in half. Don't worry about separating the whites and greens for something like this, okay? And we want to basically match the size of the onions that we got. So not paper thin, but also no massive chunks of scallion. This is all for the stuffing. But I love scallions. They're gonna go in every single part of every single part of this dish, my friends. So that's 2 of them. This is gonna be for the stuffing. I'm gonna go ahead and once again, guys, if you don't have a bench scraper, get one of these. They're cheap and they'll make your life a lot better. Don't use a knife with this, because then you'll just dull your knife every time you scrape it against the cutting board. Okay? Bench scraper does wonders, my friends. Then we'll have some scallion going into the stew. I'm going to use 3 scallions for the stew. Okay? Set everything aside. Make sure that we have enough space to play around with. Okay? And by the way, if anybody at any point, if you have any questions, even if you think it's a silly question to ask, I am here to help you. And I'm going to be happy to answer anything that you might have for me. So please, please do so. So, for the scallions that are going to go into the stew, dulling my knife means more opportunity to practice knife sharpening. Have you considered just cutting more vegetables instead? For the stew, we're going to do a nice, like really, really pretty diagonal cut because I think these tend to look nice. These nice blades. Not too thin either because we don't want these to overcook and collapse in the stew, right? And in the next batch, we're going to do those really, really thin because that's what we're going to garnish everything with. Have I ever made a Wellington? Yes, when I was 12. And I don't love it. I'm going to tell you why. I don't love working with pastry at home. And I think it's a little bit elaborate and it doesn't make sense. I don't think the Wellington is a dish that conceptually makes a lot of sense. And here's why. When you have a puff pastry, the last thing that it wants is something wet inside of it to stop it from puffing up. When meat cooks, even if you're only cooking it until medium rare, it's a sponge and it will always squeeze out a little bit of extra moisture. When you're making a Wellington and the tenderloin is cooking inside of the puff pastry, it's going to make the bottom of it soggy. I don't think that's ideal. Now, what I think would have been optimal if there was some sort of a Wellington where the puff pastry was only like on top, or if it was like a dish of like, chopped up tenderloin, that would be different. I think a Wellington is counterintuitive and it's like looking left and right simultaneously. And that's why I don't like it as a dish conceptually. I think that dish is straight up wrong for that reason. So, my apologies if that's not the answer that you were looking for. I just have some strong opinions on the subject. Deconstructed Wellington would be also optimal. And I would like to explain a very important concept, the exterminator. I love the comment that you just made. So, a lot of people, they love to make fun of the idea of deconstructed in fine dining, and rightfully so, because a lot of people are super pretentious about it. However, I think the beauty of thinking about a dish in a deconstructed way, aka you look at all of the different components that build it up and you say, wait, I'm just gonna do these things individually. Because sometimes by putting them together, you might make some things soggy. I'll give you an example. Some dessert that I used to make when I used to make desserts was this really beautiful deconstructed cheesecake. I would make this cheesecake custard just by itself. I would make a super like separate delicious crispy topping, and then I would make like this really acidic raspberry mint syrup. And then only on the plate would I assemble the deconstructed cheesecake. And that way, the crust is perfectly balanced because you're able to put as much of it in proportion to the custard as possible. It doesn't get soggy from the custard. They're able to bake at their ideal separate temperatures, and it all just comes together on the plate beautifully. And I think that's the beauty of thinking about some dishes in a deconstructed way. And I think a Wellington would be the ideal candidate for something like a deconstruction. Gordon Ramsay a taboo name here? No, it's not taboo. I enjoy talking shit about him. I hope that helps. So yeah, you can bring him up, but I'll talk some shit if you're okay with that. Okay, this scallion, we're going to go ahead and slice up nice and thin. This is going to be the scallion that we garnish with, okay? I love scallions. Resurgent Skilled, do you hate me for loving the Wellington I got at one of his restaurants? His, in quotes, that's so fucking funny. No, I don't hate you. I'm sure it tasted good too. Tasted as good as it can be. Okay, nice thin slices, my friends. And again, you don't have to cut them at an angle, but it just looks pretty when you do that, okay? Nice and thin. This is what we'll finish the dish with today. People don't cook with enough scallions. They are incredible. The texture, the flavor, they are probably my ideal allium. You can't get enough of these things. Beautiful. That's a scallion. What's the difference between pork belly and bacon, asks Kirby Rowland. Excellent question. Bacon is the name attributed to a Western preparation of a cut of pork that is typically pork belly. Bacon is usually made out of pork belly. However, there's a couple of exceptions. Think of Canadian bacon, or sometimes there's a British bacon that's made out of the pork chop or like the pork loins. Okay? But bacon usually is made out of pork belly, but bacon refers to the process of preserving it via curing, which is to preserve it with some sodium nitrate salt, and then to sometimes also smoke it. Oh no, wait, was there lag, blobfish? Wait, was there lag? Oh no, I don't think so. Okay. As a yoga trash transplant, I don't really get chicken parm for texture issue reasons. You've asked another good question. Chicken parmesan is an innately flawed dish as well. But you know what? Sometimes I like how soggy the breadcrumbs get. I do like that. There is something... Breadcrumbs aren't always meant to get crispy. Breading isn't always meant to be crispy. There is something very, very endearing about like a soggy, chicken parm for me. Okay, my friends, guess what? We've done a lot of slicing just now. These are the scallions that are gonna go into the stew. Nice big pieces. These are going to get cooked down into the stuffing for the eggplant. These are the scallions that we'll finish the dish with, just to put a little bit on top. We have some diced onion. Okay, this diced onion is going to get cooked down and put into the stuffing, and the sliced onion is going to go into the stew. Now, we have to think about everything else. We have over here a bunch, and I do mean a bunch of mushrooms. So, let's first start thinking about the shiitakes. Let's get these gnocchis out of the way. And guys, again, you don't cook with enough shiitake mushrooms. I promise. They're juicy. They're delicious. I love... It didn't fall on the floor. You didn't see that. That did not happen. Let's get these shiitakes on here and let's start thinking about what we do with them. So, I've already trimmed off like the really dry part of the stem, so we don't really have to stem them any further than here, but the bottom of the shiitake can be really, really woody. I'm intentionally keeping it on so that it imparts a lot of flavor into the broth of the stew. Okay? So here's what we do, nice and simple. We're going to add them to the same bowl as the onions. And that's only because they're going to all cook at the same time, and I don't have to get an additional dish to do so. All right? You never tried mushrooms before? What is a nice, safe... A lot of people, they can get turned off by mushrooms, and a lot of people don't cook them correctly. I'm trying to think, what is a nice, safe way to try a mushroom? Go to a hot pot restaurant NB Harmony, if there's a hot pot restaurant around you, go to a hot pot restaurant and get some shiitake mushrooms to throw into hot pot. So I'm only cutting them in half because I want nice big pieces of shiitake to bite into, okay? I want nice big juicy pieces. Yeah, chef? Well, there we go. That's what I would start with. That's what I would start with. I think a lot of people, they don't know how to prepare mushrooms. Especially, oh my God, what are we doing with raw mushroom salads in the West? Why is that an option? Raw, white, like button cap mushrooms, they just suck. They're not very good. I've never understood why people do that. Out of topic, says Kirby, my accent's a little bit different. Yes, I am from New York and have a slight speech impediment. Okay, guess what, my friends? This is the bowl of onions and now halved shiitake mushrooms. Now, what do we got to think about? We got to think about the enokis. I have a lot of fucking enokis here. These, I don't think I have to do anything else with. I'm from New York. Look at these bad boys. The only thing I'm considering is maybe cutting them in half because they're a little long, but honestly, I don't think I care enough to do so. These are gonna be fine as is. Now, we have to talk about cleaning enoki mushrooms, okay? There is a thing. There is like a Western fine dining idea of, oh, you should never wash your mushrooms. They'll soak up all the water. Fuck that. They're really dirty sometimes. So, with enoki mushrooms, they'll have a very woody base. We cut off that woody base. We cut it off, and then we take the mushrooms and we soak in a bit of water, and then we let it air dry. I did mine on a sheet tray. Okay? Oh, man, this bowl is overflowing. But I intentionally put it on the sheet tray so all the excess water could drip out of these mushrooms after we washed it. Okay? That's how you wash enoki mushrooms. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And now, my friends, let's think about the eggplant. I'm going to show you what we do with the eggplant. These are, once again, Chinese eggplants. Okay? Chinese eggplants are longer and they're thinner. And that will be perfect for the steamer. What we have to do is we have to think, how do we take all of these eggplants and how do we stuff it into this little steamer? And if we have to avoid a few, then we'll have to skip a few. We might just have to cook some another time if they don't all fit. So here's my idea. I think I should take each of these. Ideally, you want nice short ones. You want them to be able to fit in your steamer comfortably. We're going to trim off any like dried off bits like here, and we're going to slightly trim off the head. Okay? And then we're going to cut in half if they're way too long. And you can see they don't natively fit into my steamer. So we're gonna have to cut all these in half. Okay, Blobfish, it was lovely to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have an excellent evening. Everybody, please wish Blobfish a nice evening. Do it now, or there will be consequences. Okay, I'm gonna set these eggplants aside. Here's what we do. We take the eggplant. We're going to just trim off the top portion. Like so. We're gonna cut all the leaf off of it. Okay? Maybe a little bit off the top too. Okay. Then, we're going to go ahead and cut the base off. Look at that. Excellent. And then if there's like any like really dry bits, anything that doesn't look so good on the eggplant. Now we have to figure out how we're gonna cut this thing. We have to cut this in half. Ooh, hello. Oh, I have never seen an eggplant not want to get sliced like that before. Okay, take a look at the eggplant. How many can we fit? I think we can do this. I think we can fit 2 eggplants in each layer and we can stack it. Okay, we can stack the eggplant inside of here. So, slice this off. Slice this off. Go back to the base, cut the base off. If there's any dried out bits, cut that off too. We're gonna be able to stack these. All right, excellent. And then we're gonna cut these in half lengthwise. Sweet. And make sure they all fit in one layer in the steamer basket. Okay? Perfect. And then the next 2 eggplants, they're just going to go on top of them. And they're all going to cook evenly in the steamer because of the way that the steam comes up and it coats everything. Also, Dosky, thank you so much for the gift of 3 months. Dosky in total gifted 150 subs. Okay, can you do this with a regular eggplant? Yes, but you're going to need to cut it into a thinner length so that it actually cooks in time. That was a good question, Kirby Goland. You can do this with other kinds of eggplant, you just have to cut it to size. Because all eggplants will work here taste-wise, we're only choosing the smaller ones because of how much faster it takes for these to cook. Okay? So, we're slicing off the top of it. I'm excited that I get a chance to work with eggplant again. I haven't eaten eggplant in a while. We're going to cut this dried off bit of the skin here. Anything that doesn't look so good. We're also going to cut this off. Okay? Then we're going to make sure, once we cut this in half, will it fit into the steamer basket again? And the answer is, yes it will. Look at that, beautiful. Last eggplant. We'll be able to do all of these eggplants. It's going to be good stuff. So yes, you can do some other kinds of eggplants, you just have to cut it to size. But I'm going to show you what we have to do these eggplants so that they can be stuffed. Okay, everybody, ready for this? This is important. I need you all to follow now. So, in order to get these eggplants into a stuffable condition, we're going to have to keep one end intact, and we're going to slice into it. Also, anytime I ask a yes or no question, I want to hear a yes, chef. So let me ask that again. Well, actually, I forgot what I was asking to begin with. Can you guys just say yes, chef, to make me feel better? Thank you. Let me show you. You keep one end of this intact. You're going to slice it down. You're going to not slice all the way through here. Okay? Slice it like this. Then you're going to turn it on its side and slice it like this. Then we open up the eggplant. You don't want to break it off. You want to make sure that this is wide enough to hold it together. And then when we stuff the eggplant with the seasoning paste that we're going to make, it's all going to go inside of here. Okay? So that's the way we'll do it. Hello, Scribbler. It is lovely to have you. Okay, same thing here. We're keeping one end of this intact. And then we're going to go through it. We're going to open this up. Beautiful. It's a little bit elaborate, I know, but I think these will make some beautiful eggplants. So take a look. They're all held together. Okay, yes, we're basically turning them into octopuses. Okay, now do I have a separate plate I can put these on? Yes, I do. I'm gonna just throw these on to this plate once I'm done with them. Okay, so repeat with all of your eggplants, my friends. Beautiful. Okay. I think this is going to be a delicious dish. This is a really easy dish. Once we make the stuffing, all we have to do is just fill up the eggplant with it, and then we throw it into the steamer. And it's just that easy. And for this dish, you want to get as many straight eggplants as possible, because the more curved they are, the more difficult it's going to be to get like a nice even slice out of it. Okay? That's the best that we can do. Ooh, oh no, we didn't cut all the way. It's okay, it'll work out. So you want, like, you see this piece? This is nice and straight. So it's going to be a lot easier for us to work with. Cut this piece. A little bit tricky. It's a little bit slippery, even with the really sharp knife. Okay. Take care of that. And if any piece is too wide, feel free to make some more incisions, so that all these pieces are about the same size. Also, I think I could cut more this way. Sweet. Now, last one, we keep that end intact on the eggplant. Excellent, my friends. Guess what? We have now officially prepped all of the eggplant for today's dish. Opened up just like this. Okay? And these are going to get stuffed and then shoved into the steamer. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away now. We have no use for this. We are almost done with all of the prep work for today, which is pretty good. We're making good time. And guys, this is a French concept. It's called mise en place, right? I forgot what it directly translates to, but what it means is you want to get all of your prep work done ahead of time. You want to make sure that any things that you had to cut, any sauces that you had to make, you want to get all that done ahead of time. You want to get that done in advance. Okay, in its place, that's right. Get that done in advance so that when it's time to cook, you can just cook without having to worry about any of it. Okay, next, we need some garlic, my friends. We need garlic for both the stew and for the eggplant. So some of the garlic we're going to save for that, but we're going to just mince all of it now. I want a lot of garlic. Korean food is all about garlic, baby. It's all about garlic, it's all about gochujang. It's good stuff. Okay? And again, I'm peeling this over the bowl, or rather I'm taking it off over the bowl because this is where the papery skin is, and that's the kind of stuff that tends to stick to your cutting board, okay? So I'm doing this here so it doesn't get all over my cutting board, but instead stays within the confines of this bowl. Okay, guess what? That's all done. And now it's time for us to prep this. So Kirby Goland asks, and the stew, can I replace the mushrooms with something else? Yes. And the reason for that is because this is not actually a defined stew. This is me looking at a bunch of things and putting it together. I am not making a traditional dish here. This is a bit of a newer dish, right? And so as a result, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want here. So that's a good question. You can make the stew your own. I'm just showing you the fundamental concepts. Now, the only issue is, without the mushrooms, you won't have as delicious of a broth. So you will need either more meat or consider cooking this in like chicken stock. Consider cooking this in chicken stock or vegetable stock or something else. Okay? But I'm doing the mushrooms because of the flavor that they give to a broth. Okay, my friends. Let's get my favorite tool out, my handy dandy little garlic press. You guys already know, I hate chopping garlic. I love my garlic press. First step, for garlic press, we gotta peel all of this garlic, okay? Take it and smash it. Nope, because we're going to cook pork belly and the mushrooms are going to make the stock for us. It's going to have plenty of flavor. With the mushrooms, with the soy sauce, with the onions, the stock is going to naturally build itself. So we take our bench scraper, we smash down on all of these garlic cloves individually. We need this much garlic. We need a lot of garlic, okay? And now that it's been smashed, guess what? It peels off really, really easily. Okay? Smashing it separates the skin from the clove. It was pretty satisfying, wasn't it? Felt like bones. Okay. This part always sucks, which is getting the skin off very, very tiny cloves. But we'll figure it out. Okay. Perfect. Just go through these one by one. And once again, guys, I want to reiterate if anybody ever has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So Kirby Roland, I'm happy that you're asking me all these questions because you're giving me some exciting ones to talk about. There's no such thing as a bad question. Actually, maybe you guys will find one. I don't know. Okay. What's that? This just comes off. It just pops out of there. Beautiful. Had a little bit fall in, but that's okay. I don't mind too much. Excellent. And I think we have 2 more garlic cloves to peel. Off it comes. Off it comes. And that's the last one. And now it's time to turn all of this into some beautiful minced garlic paste. It already does. And we haven't even begun cooking yet. So, do I wash the gloves? No. I'm going to explain to you why I'm using gloves. I'm using gloves because I have eczema. I have very dry hands. So anything like water or like even like anything acidic, anything sticky is very uncomfortable and really, really bad for my hands. I'm using these gloves mostly for myself. Now, what are the times that you actually need gloves in a professional kitchen is when you're cutting anything acidic. Let's say you have to do a bunch of lemons, a bunch of oranges, whatever the case may be. I recommend that you get gloves, because it can be really bad on your hands even if you don't have any skin condition whatsoever, okay? So I'm using the gloves for the safety of my hands and not for any food safe reasons, because I'm gonna be cooking all of this. There's no worry about any cross-contamination. Don't worry about any of that. This is mostly for my own health. So I don't encourage people to use gloves unless A, they have eczema, or B, they're cutting something acidic, or C, which is you don't wanna wash your hands after cutting meat. And you just slap them on whenever you want to cut meat. And by the way, guys, once again, this is a carbon steel knife. I have to dry this off and make sure that it stays dry, okay? You don't want to keep that knife wet because it can oxidize, it can rust. So my friends, guess what? Garlic, in it goes. Into the garlic press. Darla scented candles. What the fuck is a Darla scented candle? Ugh. No, I used to have this thing called smasher soap. I had custom soap made, and it was like cucumber mint or something. But if I had a soap, it would be like cucumber coconut. That's what it would be. So it's spelled E-C-Z-E-N-A. Could be. Okay. Getting all that garlic pressed. And guys, when you have to do a bunch of garlic, let me tell you, garlic press is excellent. I love this tool to death. I hate having to chop garlic on my cutting board because of how sticky it is. So, Duolingo has my family asks, how come my leftover Alfredo always becomes not a creamy sauce after refrigerating when combined with the noodles? Well, that's a good question. What kind of Alfredo is it? Are you making an Alfredo that's made out of like heavy cream and Parmesan? I'm going to explain to you why, if that's the case. And that's because your emulsion is probably breaking at some point. When you have Parmesan cheese in there, it tends to get really, really gritty. Parmesan is usually the culprit. And then, if it's a flour thickened sauce, is it flour thickened? Are you doing like a flour thickened heavy cream sauce? Talk to me about your sauce. Flour thickened cream sauces, they don't tend to refrigerate too well. Okay? And so what you can do is you can do a little pinch of sodium citrate to tighten it back up. That's what I use for my mac and cheese. A little bit of sodium citrate. You can also just reheat it with a splash of extra liquid because a lot of liquid evaporates. Oh, no cream. Cheese, butter, and Parmesan. Whoa, hold on. You're doing like a classic Alfredo. Like a traditional, real Alfredo, right? Just butter, cheese, just butter and Parmesan? No cream, no milk, no flour? Or are you talking about like an American Alfredo? Oh, heavy cream too, okay. In that case, your emulsion is breaking, water is evaporating when it's cooling down, and the pasta the released starch might make it too thick. There's like a million things that can go wrong with something like this. You've asked me a fairly complicated question, but usually, if it's a heavy cream thickened sauce, do a splash of cream when you heat it back up again. But I wouldn't personally store the sauce with the pasta. I would have those two be separate. But yeah, that's probably the Parmesan clumping up on you. So guys, remember, clean as you go. I'm just washing up my knife here. And then I'm going to dry it off thoroughly. Okay? I don't ever make Alfredo. I don't make American Alfredo. I don't. I am fundamentally opposed to it. It's effectively a bechamel pasta, but I get very elitist about these things. Okay. My knife is now dried off. I'm going to make sure it's bone dry so there's no residual moisture on it. Guess what? We have now prepped up all of this garlic. And this is going to be going into quite a few things. Next, we have some ginger to chop. We don't need a lot of ginger. We only need a little bit for the stew itself, okay? Only a little bit. Let's do this much, okay? Thumb-sized piece of ginger, a little bit less. Okay, guys, remember, always have a waste bowl. Always have a waste bowl. Is that clear? What is an Alfredo that everybody seems to do here? Asks Kirby Roland. So an Alfredo, this is an Americanized version of an Italian dish. And it is this American pasta dish that people do, where it is heavy cream with Parmesan cheese. And then they sometimes add shrimp to the pasta, or they do chicken. That is an American version of it. But traditionally, a classic, real Italian Alfredo only has butter and Parmesan, and it's thickened with the pasta water of a fresh egg pasta. Okay, so I'm just trimming up this ginger. I'm going to show you guys how we prepare it, okay? And get it ready. Slice it off, it's ginger, it's nice and cheap. I'm going to throw this into the fridge now. I have no use for this at the moment. Ow, shit, I just hit my elbow really hard on the refrigerator. Ow, oh, that was brutal. Okay, here's what we do, my friends. First, we take the ginger and we smash it down just like this. And we take it again and we smash it down. Okay, then we're going to slice it, thin, 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 thin. Nice and thin. Then you're going to take the whole thing and you give it a little rotation. And then you're going to cut it up nice and thin. Okay? Nice and thin, nice tiny pieces. We want the ginger to dissolve into the stew. Take it again, chop it up. Beautiful. That is the ginger that's going to go into the stew, nice and fine. I'm going to put this onto the garlic plate. I'm going to shove the garlic aside. This is only for the stew. We don't want this for the eggplant. Okay? Take the bench scraper, grab it all. Beautiful. And then off it goes. And make sure you're dividing the two. Okay? That's your garlic and your ginger. Okay? I'm going to wash my knife off and my gloves off. I'm going to just get a nice fresh pair of gloves. And then the last step is we're going to have to prep the pork meat. The pork belly. I love pork belly to death. It's one of my favorite cuts. Can't get enough of it. Okay. So, let's talk about pork belly. The pork belly I have is skin on. I want to get rid of the skin because I'm not going to get the skin crispy or anything. And the skin has sometimes hair in it. But if you want to do Daramgar in the kitchen, ooh, I don't know. Doug, how long can you store ginger until it goes bad? I don't know. Sometimes I leave it in there for weeks and it's fine. That's my answer to you. I don't have a definite time. It's just infinite. If it looks bad, cut off the parts that look bad. Found your channel on YouTube a couple of days ago and have been enjoying the streams. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I'm happy to have you here. The channel was originally just like an archive channel. So I didn't expect people to come here from that, but I'm happy to have you. Welcome in. Okay, pork belly. Guess what? Here it is. We're going to cut this up into nice pieces. Think of the pieces that you want the new stew, and that's what we'll do. Nice and fatty and delicious. I love pork belly to death. This is one of my favorite cuts of meat. And so what we'll do is, we're going to get a lot of its fat out. We're going to fry it in its own fat, and then we're going to take it out. Because I'm not going to braise the pork belly. I'm going to have nice thin pieces of it that we can chew on as we eat. Okay? Look at all this pork belly. All right, that's plenty. That's quite a bit. All right, my friends, here's what we do. Take your pork belly. Let's section this off in half so it's a little easier for us to work with. Section this off in half. We're going to get some paper towels actually to pat it dry. This pork belly is a little wet. You never want to work with wet meat on your cutting board because it's unpleasant and it slips everywhere and then it's going to fry up wet. So take it, pat the whole thing dry, my friends. Pat it dry. Pat it dry. Also, Kirby Roland, thank you so much for the sub. That's very sweet of you. It was really appreciated. Okay, my friends, here's what you do. We're going to cut the skin off. I know it's a little bit wasteful, but we don't need it for this dish. Okay? Cut the skin off. Try to leave everything else. Leave the fat, leave the meat. Only the skin has to go. Okay? Goodbye. That's the pork belly. Cut the skin off. Oh, shit, that's way too much in. That's not what I meant to do. Beautiful. Just the skin. Off it goes. You would use this for chicharron. You would make crispy pork skin with this. That's what you would use it for. That requires a little bit of time. You can do this a traditional Mexican way and like a big thing of like pork lard. There's a million ways to do it. You can make crackling. A million ways to do it, but crispy pork skin is to die for. That's what pork rinds are made of, right? What some people do is they cook it, then they dehydrate it, and then they deep fry it so it really puffs up. It's really beautiful stuff. Okay, my friends, let's get that slice, get it in there. Okay, guess what? That is all the pork meat that we need for today. And then we're gonna cut it up. Now, think about the size of pieces that you want in the stew. I like them nice and wide like this, but I'm not gonna have them be too thick. You want them tender enough to bite through without needing to braise them. So, I'm gonna do a fairly thin slice, thin slice, thin slice. I want thin slices of pork belly for today's stew. Okay, actually, I'm gonna just get these out of here. so it's not on my cutting board. Beautiful. And again, the colder the meat is, the easier it is to slice it. This meat has been actually sitting out for a little bit, so that's why it's moving so much. But what people do is if they're trying to get like really thin slices, it's nice to toss it into, let's say, the freezer for like 30 minutes, okay? Especially if you want like paper thin slices. Let's say you're doing hot pot or shabu shabu or fucking KBBQ at home or something, and you want paper thin slices, throw it into the freezer for 30 minutes. Not me though. This is gonna be just fine the way it is. I don't want paper thin, I want a little bit thicker than that. And that's why I'm able to accomplish that through this task. Okay, let's get this off my board. You might be like, oh, Daramgar, that's a lot of fat. We need the fat. The fat is going to cook all of the vegetables. Okay? The fat is going to cook all the vegetables. It's going to go into the stew. It's going to give the stew some substance to it. So that's why we need all of it. Oh, come on, buddy. Down you go. Excellent. 2 more left. And again, it's a little bit warm. That's why it's so slippery. I love pork belly. Oh. And you want to slice it. You want to use the full length of your knife to get through these. Kirby Golan says, Chef, you said that we always have to boil for the parts that we're not going to use and go into the trash. Can we do something with this thing, like a brown or something? I'm not sure what you're asking me. Are you talking about the skin? I said the skin that you can deep fry the skin, or you can also put the skin into your soups and stocks because the skin has a lot of collagen and it can give a lot of flavor to things. But I would prefer to fry it. It can make a stock very cloudy too, though, so you have to be careful, unless you don't care about that kind of thing. Okay, my friends, guess what? All the pork belly has now been officially chopped up. Take a look. Get a load of this guy. Okay? All that. Nice. Sliced up, and that's going to be ready to go through the stew. Okay, I am going to go ahead and take a second. We're going to clean off our station, because I don't think I have a single thing left to slice or to chop. So I'm going to throw some stuff into the dishwasher. All the prep work has been done in advance for today. Everything that we needed. Okay, I'm just getting rid of some stuff now off my cutting board. Clean as you go and you will thank yourself later, everybody. I say this every single time that I stream for a good reason. Not enough people do it and then they're left with a mess of dishes at the end of the day. Okay? Do this now. You will thank yourself later. You will. Oh, so depends. You would probably have to wash these, but you can use onion skin to make stock. Sometimes people put them in a dehydrator so that they can then blend it up and turn it into a powder. I don't bother with that. You should compost. I should get into composting probably at some point. Or you can make it into stock. Yes, you can do that. People do that. I do that sometimes. I just didn't do that today. Okay, I gotta wash up my knife again, because that is now covered in pork. So I'm gonna get rid of that now, and then we won't have to worry about it later. Okay, my friends, guess what? I've washed up. I got rid of some stuff. Hello, Jack. Lovely to have you. Hope you're having a beautiful day today, Jack. Well, Lena, I am glad that I would be able to potentially inspire you. In that case, or maybe you're talking about somebody else, not little old me. Okay, let's take a look at everything that we've accomplished so far. You guys ready? Are you all ready? I think you're ready. Let's go take a look at everything that we've prepped up, everything that we've sliced up in preparation for cooking today. Good job, Duolingo has my family. Is that the only one? The only one. Can't believe you guys. Wow. Okay. My friends, let's take a look. So first up, scallions, onions, pork belly, garlic and ginger. Oh, we have so much. We have done so much with our time. We have mushrooms. We have scallions. Look at all this. We've accomplished all of this just now. We also have this beautiful, beautiful eggplant. So here's what has to happen. We have to build the stuffing. We have to build the stuffing for the eggplants. Okay? So we're going to saute some onions. We're going to add a bunch of spices. We're going to add some soy sauce. We're going to add some gochujang. And we're going to stuff up those eggplants and just get it ready for whenever we feel like steaming it. Okay? I want to get that done in advance. So that's just ready to go. Okay, Jack, I hope you have a lovely night. Thank you for stopping by today. So my friends, let's head on over to the stove. I'm trying to think about what vessel would be the best to make the stuffing for today in. It's gonna take a second to think about. You know, we'll just do this in a little saute pan. In a little saute pan just like this. We're going to brown the onions. We're going to saute the garlic. We're going to saute the scallions. And then in a separate bowl, we're going to make the filling, the stuffing for the eggplant. We're going to combine it all together. Okay? You all ready? Excellent. Happy to hear it. So let's begin. Throw it on to like a medium high heat. And we're going to do a splash. You can use whatever kind of oil that you want for this. I'm doing a little bit of peanut oil because that's what I have on hand. You can use some untoasted sesame seed oil. And you want enough that everything is going to fry in it. And don't forget, we'll have some sesame oil going in later, but that's the toasted kind, and you can't really cook with toasted sesame seed oil. Now, I'm also going to put some stuff behind me yet again, and we should build everything for it. Yes, this is a non-stick pan. You don't have to use a non-stick. This is just what I have at home. Unfortunately, I don't have a stainless steel pan that is like small enough for what I want to do with it. So it sucks that I have to use this, but we're using it anyways. Okay, and while that's going, while that's heating up, we have to build the rest of the stuffing. Okay, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to go into it. I'm going to tell you right now. I have a list. I have a list on my phone. Because I wrote this down before the stream. Okay, here's what we're going to need. We're going to need some soy sauce. We're going to need some gochujang, which we're going to need some gochujang, some black pepper, sesame oil, and sesame seeds. Okay? I have it written down. I made a nice little note of it on my phone. So, let's build that now. In a little bowl. And we're going to dump the onions and stuff once they've actually cooked into this. Okay? We're going to do 2 tablespoons of gochujang. And so, once again, I have to talk about this all the time. This is gochujang, my friends, right here. This is one of the most important ingredients in any kind of Korean cooking. This is Korean chili flake, okay? So we're doing, what am I doing? I'm doing like 2 tablespoons of this stuff, right? 2 big tablespoons of gochujang. It's really, really delicious, really flavorful. You can't get too much of the stuff. Okay, next. I'm not going to measure the sesame seeds. I don't really care. So, kurbigolan, just as I explained, this is gochujang. This is Korean chili flakes. Then, we're going to do some sesame seeds. I'm not really measuring this. I don't think you can have too many sesame seeds. Okay? We're going to do a bunch of black pepper. But first, my friends, I think the oil is nice and hot. So we're going to throw the onions onto the pan. And so it is. Okay? Let's do a bunch of black pepper. And we're just trying to cook the onions down a little bit. Okay? Hello, Possum. Lovely to have you again. Okay, black pepper. And now the gochujang. This is another quintessential Korean ingredient. This is everywhere in Korean cooking. This is a fermented chili paste. Okay? We've been using this all the time lately, and for good reason. It's delicious, and it belongs in everything. So, you need about a 1/4 cup, which is going to be a couple big spoons of this bad boy. Okay? That's the gochujang. I can go ahead and throw this into the fridge now. I have no use for this. Gochujang makes everything better. You're absolutely right. The onions are going. We don't need to add that much salt to the whole thing because we're going to have soy sauce going into all of it. Okay? The red powder is gochujang, yes. And gochujang is the paste. It's the fermented chili paste. Next, we are going to need a bunch of soy sauce. We're going to need some soy sauce. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon light soy sauce and 1 tablespoon dark soy sauce. Okay? 1 tablespoon light. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some dark soy sauce. And dark soy sauce and light soy sauce are quite different. One of them, just as the name suggests, is a lot more intense, a lot more fermented. Okay? And the other is a lot more mild in flavor. Dark soy? Perfect. And then we don't have to like completely mix this up because we're going to dump all of the cooking vegetables. We're going to dump the onions and the garlic and everything else in. Okay? That's all going to happen still. But look at this. Beautiful. And then one last step. I forgot to do the sesame oil at this stage. I can go ahead and get rid of my tablespoon. I have no use for it at the moment. I'm going to give the onions a nice little flip. We're going to make sure we brown these really nicely. Last step, a bunch of sesame oil, my friends. And again, you can't go wrong with sesame oil. I feel like you can't ever have too much of this thing. Actually, some people say that you can, but that's okay. Look at this beautiful paste. Guys, it smells wonderful. Okay, guess what? This has now sauteed enough that I want to add some of the chopped scallion. Okay, let's head to the stove. Into this pan, the chopped up scallions, that's going to go towards the stuffing. And the other scallion is going to go towards the stew. And now the fact that the vegetables have softened and reduced enough, okay, they've lost a lot of their volume, we can go ahead and use a wooden device to move it around. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and grab a little wooden spoon now. Oh, actually, I have a tiny wooden spoon. Look at that. Beautiful. I have a tiny, tiny little wooden spoon. Excellent. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to make the stuffing. We're going to put it aside. And then we're going to make the stew for today. Okay? Tiny wooden spoon for your tiny Daramgar. That's right, for your tiny little pan. Guys, this paste right here, it smells wonderful. It smells really, really nice and nutty from the sesame. You have such deep fermented notes from the soy sauce and the gochujang and the gochujang. This is going to make an incredible, incredible stuffing for the eggplant. Okay? This stuff is really, really special. There is so much flavor that we just compacted in here. It smells wonderful and it tastes even better too. Okay? Take this, we're gonna mix it around, and again, we don't worry about salt because there's plenty from the soy sauce naturally occurring. And what you'll find, by the way, in Korean cooking, you very, very rarely see people actually add salt because of how many different fermented products are used. Kimchi, think of doenjang, which is the fermented soybean paste, think of the fermented chili paste. There's a lot of salt that happens in things naturally, okay? So we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it in a lot of other places. Because all these ingredients have salt in them as it is. But to some people, it can still be somewhat lacking in salt. So that is still up to you. But to me, this is going to be perfect. So guess what? The scallions have fried up a little bit. We're going to go in with the garlic now. Remember, we chopped up all this garlic. Half of this is for the stew, and half of this is for the eggplant. Half of that, we'll go ahead and throw that in now. Fry that up. And we'll mix it around, my friends. I'm gonna have a sip of water though. Is everybody following so far? Does everybody understand? Break up the garlic, make sure it's moving so that the garlic doesn't burn. We've cooked the scallions. Oh, it smells fantastic. It smells like cooking alliums. There's an excellent way to make your kitchen smell good, and that's just to cook some onions, cook some garlic, and it's gonna do all the work for you, my friends. Guess what? I think this is now almost done. We'll just keep stirring it for another second. Okay, and that's it. Let's head back to the overhead camera, my friends. Oh, I'm so glad so many people are coming through for this now. So, back to this. We're going to dump in all of the cooked onions, all the cooked scallions, and all of the cooked garlic. And that is going to complete the stuffing for the eggplants. Kirby Roland says, Phil, people talk about the sodium and salting things too much. We have the same problem with soy sauce. I'm not sure what problem you're referring to, Roland. Could you rephrase your question? Could you say that a little bit differently for me, please? Okay. That is now all taken care of. That's all done. Beautiful. And we're going to save the stuffing for the eggplants while we're making the stew. Yes, yeah, it's a pretty funny thing, but people do it all the time. But it's the quickest way to make your kitchen smell good. Okay, look at this paste. Everybody, look at this paste. Sesame seeds, sesame oil, gochujang, gochugaru, soy sauce, garlic, scallions, and onion. So, everybody, let's have a little recap session. For anybody that has just joined in recently, let's talk about everything that we've just accomplished. We're making a glass noodle pork belly stew. So we've done all the prep. We chopped up the pork belly. We chopped up everything in the mushrooms that's going to go into the stew today. We're soaking the glass noodles in advance so that when it goes into the stew, it doesn't soak up all of the liquid. Okay? That's going to be the last addition. We made the stuffing for the steamed eggplants. Okay, this is gochujang, gochugaru, sesame seeds, sesame oil, soy sauce, garlic, onions, and scallions. And I might be missing a couple things, and black pepper as well. Some people do sugar. I try to cook without sugar. And then these are going to go, this is all going to get stuffed into this eggplant right here. Also, future gay parent, thank you so much for the sub. Really, really appreciate it. I don't think I have a notification for that. So it's all going to get stuffed in here. No. Those are just store-bought glass noodles. I don't know how you would even make glass noodles at home. Like, you would just buy that. Okay, and now, my friends, it's time for us to start thinking, to start building the beautiful stew. Okay? So the stew, we need to cook the pork belly. We're going to cook the garlic, and we're going to deglaze it all with soy sauce. We're going to add in the water. We're going to add in the onions. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be delicious. So let's get started on that. Let's head to the stove. And I was thinking about what vessel to use. I was originally thinking my big pot, but I think I'm going to actually stick with the Dutch oven for today. And the reason I'm thinking a Dutch oven is because I have a lot of volume. Okay, I have a lot of food to go through today. So, in this big pot right here, we have two options. So let's decide with me right now. We have two options when it comes to cooking pork belly. If you are looking to cook it like it's a protein, like it's a piece of meat, right, and you want to have some nice chew to it, you want to do it in a hot pot or a hot pan of oil, and then you put it in. If you're trying to get as much fat out of it as possible, you want to start it off in a cold pan, but then you risk overcooking the meat. And we're not making braised pork belly. So I think I'm going to be doing the hot pan method. So this is an enamel Dutch oven. You never want to heat these things up empty. You always want to heat them up with either water or oil inside of them. Okay? A little bit of oil, because we're going to have plenty of oil from the pork belly. A little bit. And we're getting it nice and hot because we're going to cook the protein fast and hot, and then we're going to take it out and put it into a different bowl. The reason I'm not leaving the pork to cook in the stew for a long time is because we're not going to cook it so long that it braises. We're not going to cook it so long that it breaks down and gets really nice and tender. We're only cooking it so long that it has that nice bite of meat. But if we were to cook and boil it, it would get super tough and chewy. Okay? So now I have to think about, when I take it out, which container, which vessel am I going to put this thing in? Not cool pan, hot pan, that's right. But normally when I do pork belly, you'll oftentimes see that I start it off in a very cold pan. I do it in a cold pan so that I could get all the fat out of it really, really slowly. In this case, I'm making an exception because I'm gonna cook it like meat, okay? Nice and hot pan. So, let's think about everything that's going to go into the stew at the same time. I'm gonna get my lid nice and out of the way here, because that is bothering me. I might have accidentally stabbed myself with the knife while I was doing that. Ow. That sucks. Okay, this is for the eggplant. I can go ahead and put this aside. I don't need this. This is the pork belly that's gonna go inside. Okay. This right here is all the scallion that the stew is gonna boil with. We're gonna finish the stew with this at the end. This is the garlic and the ginger that we're going to saute in the fat. Okay. And then what else do we have? And then we have this big, beautiful bowl right here. This is the mushrooms. This is the onion. That's all going to boil alongside it. And then also what I'm gonna do, even though this isn't a Korean fish sauce, I will be doing a little bit of fish sauce. I have this squid brand fish sauce right here. It's not made of squid, it's just the brand. And so here's what you're looking for when it comes to a fish sauce. Some people, they leave their fish sauce in the fridge for way too long. When you have a good fish sauce, you're looking for it to be amber in color. You don't want it to look like soy sauce. You don't want it to look black. You don't want it to look super, super dark. You want it to still kind of almost resemble amber in a way. Okay? And that tells you that it hasn't overly fermented. Yes, the forbidden soda. And the fish sauce is also going to go into the stew. So all of this, these are the accompaniments. This is what's going to build the stew, as well as the glass noodles. And once that's going, we'll stuff up the eggplant, we'll wash some rice. We'll do all of that, my friends. Don't you worry about it. So the oil, we're getting it nice and hot. And remember, we're working in a glass enameled Dutch oven. Okay? You do not want to take that Dutch oven and crank it up on a super high heat. You want to be nice and gentle with it. Heat it up low and slow, and everything's going to work out just fine. Heat it up low and slow. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. Nice and low and slow, and it's going to get the job done. You don't want to crank these things up. The only things that you can crank up onto a heat are pans like cast irons, things like carbon steel, things like straight stainless steel that's not clad. But in general, low and slow is the way to preheat things. Okay? It's nice and gentle to the metal. It's nice and gentle to the enamel coating. I'm very excited to get started with the stew, my friends. It's going to be really, really delicious today. We're going to saute everything. We're going to boil it all. It's going to be excellent. And then, of course, we can't forget about this big batch of spinach that we have. Okay? All of this spinach is going to go into the stew as well. Guys, get a salad spinner. Get a salad spinner. If you don't own one, you're making a mistake. Get one of these. They wash and dry off leaves like nothing else, among many other things. I love my salad spinner. It is one of my favorite tools in the home kitchen. I can't go without it. I'm just swirling the oil around. We're going to get really nice and hot. And we're going to saute. We're going to fry up that pork belly. Okay? And the rice I already just put into the pot, but I'm going to show you how we wash it and stuff. We're going to do all that. Okay? So the oil, we want to get it to basically to a point where it's starting to smoke. And that's going to be our cue to toss the meat in. Okay, nice and hot. We want to get some good color. We want some good browning on the meat. And we want to cook it through almost all the way before we toss it in. Okay? It's a Dutch oven. This is a thick piece of metal. Okay? It's made of cast iron. It's going to take a while for it to heat up. And that's why people feel tempted to crank up the heat on these. But if it's enameled, you don't want to do that. You will abuse your pan. Don't do that. Go low and slow with these. Okay? I'm very excited to stuff the eggplants. And that's going to be really fun. The paste that we made, it smells actually phenomenal. It really does. The cooked onions and everything. Okay, my friends, the pan is nice and hot. It is officially smoking. So now we go in with all of that pork, all of that beautiful, gorgeous pork. Goes in now, sliding around. We're gonna get some good color on it. And we're going to release the fat. Okay? Make sure it unsticks from each other. And the goal is to get color. We're not looking to render the fat too much. We're going to get some of it, but we just want to get a nice, delicious, seared piece of pork belly. Okay? Now, we are going to need salt for the soup because we're not making this in stock. We won't have a lot of salty ingredients. We will need salt. So salt this heavily, generously. And also, while we're at it, some black pepper. Because this is going to be a fairly simple stew. Let's get some flavor in while we can. Okay? Let's move it around a little bit. Excellent. We're looking to get a nice crust developed on at least some of the sides of the pork. Resurgence Guild says, is there a reason you're seasoning this in the pan instead of outside? Good question. I could season it before. However, you need to consider this. If you're seasoning meat that's already been chopped up or ground, think of something like ground meat, and you do it too far in advance, you will end up getting a sausage-like effect where it leaches out a little too much water and it gets too bouncy. Additionally, because of the fact that it was already chopped up and in a bowl, we would have to make sure that it's evenly seasoned and then spread it out and mix it around. It's just a lot easier when we've laid it out flat in the pan. It's just easier to do it at this step mechanically. I won't have to get my hands dirty to mix it. That's why we're doing this outside of it. Okay? But you have to be careful about seasoning meat like too far in advance, like 30 minutes to an hour in advance if it's already chopped up and it's already ground up. That's how you get a bouncy texture, and that might not be what you're looking for sometimes. Okay. Pork belly, we're going to cook it a little bit more, and then we're going to take it out. Okay? In the meantime, I'm going to get a kettle full of water so that we can immediately deglaze it all. Oh, it's already full of water. Excellent. Happy to see it, happy to hear it. And then I need a bowl that I'll be taking all this meat out in. Okay, so everything is prepped and everything is ready to go for when we need it. And be careful, pay attention to the bottom of the pan, okay? All of that is going to get deglazed and it's going to dissolve into the stew, but we don't want to burn what's on the bottom. We just want to get a nice sear on it. Look at this beautiful pork. Excellent. We're not getting too much color on it, but that's okay. That's totally fine. We'll pull it out. We'll cook everything else. It'll be delicious, is what it'll be. Light soy sauce and dark soy sauce. This is the tool with which we'll take the pork out. Move it around a little bit more. It's almost done to where I want it to be. I'm excited for the stew. It's going to be a really tasty stew. This is exactly what I've been craving because it's just been cold and it's been rainy in New York. It's just sucked. Wrong one. Yes, it is an aging thing. It is an aging thing. So dark soy sauce is much more fermented and has a much more intense taste as a result. Oof. Okay. I don't think I want to push this too much more. Let's see if we can get any color out of this. I just don't want to overcook the pork. Okay, because these are thin, thin little pieces. I'm going to try one though, just for fun. It's hot. It's burning hot, in fact. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that the pork that was covered in fat and in a hot pan would be hot? Not me. That's delicious. I love pork belly, guys. I really, really do. You can't beat it. You just can't beat it. Almost there, and then we'll pull it out. I'm gonna get one more piece just for fun. Shocking. Who'd have thought? Insane revelation from Daramgar. Okay, my friends. Guess what? We're gonna pull out the meat. Okay, and try to keep some of the fat in there. It doesn't matter too much though. All of this is gonna go back into the stew anyways. Let's pull it all out. And here's what's gonna happen. You see all this stuff on the bottom? We have all these burnt bits on the bottom. All of that is gonna get dissolved into the stew really nicely. Okay? And now this is where we have to baby it. We don't have a lot of time here. Okay? You have to move fast. So, the meat has been taken out. You need to get a wooden spoon. Make sure that your soy sauce is handy. Everybody, pay attention. This is where you need to pay attention. Do I have your attention? Let me hear it if I do. Okay. Oil is in the pan at the moment. Actually, I also have a couple pieces of meat extra. Oil is in the pan. Come on, buddy. Out you go. Thank you. Garlic and ginger added now. This stuff can burn really easily. So mix it up, fry it off, and make sure that your soy sauce is already opened up for when we need it. And we're gonna fry off the soy sauce too. Okay? Fry it off, lower the heat. You have to keep mixing this. You can't let this stuff burn. It's gonna ruin everything else. This is where you have to pay attention. You have to work fast. Don't push it too far. Just let it do its thing. Excellent. And now, soy sauce. 1 swirl, 2 swirls. And a couple swirls of this. This is some dark soy sauce. Put a couple splashes of that. And mix it up. Mix it up. Fry it off, and then it's going to evaporate. And before it evaporates, so the pan doesn't dry, and so the soy sauce doesn't burn, get it all deglazed, pour some water in, my friends. Beautiful. And scrape everything off the bottom. Scrape it up. Get it into the stew. Get it dissolved. Get it all dissolved. Everything. This is how we start building it all. Okay? And then we're going to add the mushrooms. We're going to add the onions. It's going to be excellent. Okay, we're going to add more water. It's totally fine. We just wanted it to glaze and scrape up the bottom of it. Wait, what did you say? You kind of missed the insane exposure cam? I see. Okay, let's build this stew. I'm gonna get some more water in this kettle so I can easily transfer it over. And again, we did that so we could actually properly fry off the garlic and the ginger and get some flavor out of it. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I'm a little bit confused, I apologize. So my friends, mushrooms, enoki mushroom, shiitake, and onions. We're gonna go ahead and dump that in now, all right? Beautiful. And this is what's going to build the stew for us, my friends. This is where we're gonna get all the flavor from, okay? Excellent. Let's get this bowl out of here. The little teapot is gone? I know, I'm so sorry. Actually, I don't know where the teapot is. I should find it at some point. Okay. My friends, we can now chill out for a second. The stew, the hardest part is done, which was just sauteing stuff. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, okay? We're gonna drop it to a simmer, and we're gonna let all of this cook. We're gonna let the mushrooms cook, we're gonna let the onions cook. But first, we're going to do a little bit more of the light soy sauce, okay? A little bit more. We don't wanna drown this in soy sauce, though. And we'll add some fish sauce at the end as well, okay? We're gonna let that boil now. While that's boiling, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly wash my rice. So that's just done and taken care of and out of the way. And this soup, it shouldn't take too long. Okay, it's only gonna take like 20 minutes of cooking at this stage, and then we add some of the other stuff. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm gonna wash the rice. Okay. Washing it up. We want nice clear, guys, and we're gonna get it delicious. We're gonna get nice and sticky, and that's gonna be the base of everything that we eat today, okay? And again, I apologize that I'm not able to talk and interact with you guys while I'm doing this. I'm gonna go back and look at chat in just a second. I forgot to get my phone out for this step. Okay. The rice has completed its washing, so it's gonna be really, really simple, my friends. All I'm gonna do, we're gonna bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer, and let it cook for around 18 minutes or so. Let me see, is that enough water? That's plenty of water. Okay. Bring it to a boil, drop to a simmer, that kind of thing. Doug, do I have cool knives? Yes, I do. Also, hold on. I'm going to go back and I'm going to scroll through anything that I would have missed in chat this time. Okay, chef, those shrooms look like they're having a good time. It says future gay parent. Yes, they are. They look fantastic. These shiitakes are going to get really nice and juicy as they cook down. And they're going to impart a lot of delicious flavor into the stock. I want to taste it just to see where it's at in terms of salinity and see what we have building so far. This dish is going to come together at the end, okay? Already, let me tell you, delicious. The ginger really comes through, the garlic comes through. It looks really, really tasty. It tastes really good. And that's still before the fish sauce. That's still before the mushrooms have given off their flavor. Okay. Sis asks me, what is the worst cooking injury you've ever gotten? I've never actually injured myself in the kitchen too much. Not a single time. Nope. I've been cooking for the most of my life. I don't think I've ever injured myself too much past like a little burner cut. Okay, Fish asks me, Dali, do you have cool knives? Guess what? I fucking do. Oh yeah. Let me show you my knives. Oh, that's the wrong shot. Okay, let me show you my knives. This right here is my pride and joy. This is my Kramer knife. Carbon steel. I got it very recently thanks to somebody. Really comfortable grip. Also, thank you so much to Porgs for the raid. I hope you're having an excellent day today. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, this knife is really, really comfortable in the hand. It's carbon steel, meaning it's prone to oxidization. You have to make sure that you're drying it off often and it doesn't stay wet. Now, this right here is my suisun. I don't know how to pronounce it. This is a paring knife. This is what I do for prep work. Cleaning things, chopping them up, anything that I have to hold in my hand. I love having my paring knife already. My knife roll is in the other room. Oh no, I'm too lazy to go get it. I don't want to run off stream. How often do I sharpen my knives? Good question. Ideally, I should be doing that twice a month or every 2 months or so. I haven't been because I stream so often that I haven't been able to go get them professionally sharpened. I don't sharpen them myself, but I have knives on a rotation. Chef, what would you say is your hottest cooking take? Asks Elena the Great. My hottest cooking take? Whoa, that's a big fucking question you ask me. I have a hot take about just on everything. You have to get more specific. I can't just name off the top of my head what is my hot cooking take. I have a lot. I have a lot. Okay. So ask me a question about anything when it comes to food, and I'll probably have a hot take or a contrarian take on it, because I spent a lot of time really studying and understanding why do people do the things they do and how much of it is actually wrong. And when it comes to food, people are wrong very often, and tradition, you don't have to listen to it all the time. Least favorite vegetable asks me all to win. My least favorite vegetable, probably a sweet potato, because they're just sweet all the way through. Sweet potatoes are just uninteresting to me. They're very one note. I know what they're gonna taste like. Bad sweet potatoes taste like sweet potatoes. They're all the same to me at the end of the day. I don't love them. I don't love them. And I don't like things that are too sweet. I don't try to eat sweets as it is. Anytime I eat a sweet potato, I'm like, this feels wrong. I much prefer, let's say, like a kabocha squash, for instance, right? Because it's a lot more mild on the sweetness, and I prefer its texture. My friends, guess what? The mushrooms are boiling. Beautiful. This is going to give us an excellent mushroom stock for the stew today. It's going to be full of flavor. So I'm going to swap some things around. I'm going to get the rice cooking just so that's done ahead of time and out of the way. Oh, wrong one. Okay. We're going to bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer, and cook it for 18 minutes. Never stir it. Never, never, never. You get mushy rice by stirring it too much and by having too much water. And we don't have too much water, then we're not going to stir it at all. Man, that pork belly is amazing. Okay, guess what? I think it's time to stuff the eggplant, but I do usually. My meals are now around 2 to 3 p.m. and then I start the stream at 6, so I'm not always the hungriest. So everybody, let's have a little recap session. We're doing stuffed eggplants and we're doing a glass noodle pork belly stew. For the eggplants, let me show you. Come here, come take a look. This is the seasoning paste that we made for the eggplants. Cooked onions, cooked garlic, cooked scallions, added with soy sauce, gochujang, gochugaru, sesame seeds, sesame oil, and black pepper. Okay? Beautiful stuff. Really aromatic and it smells fantastic. This is going to get stuffed into these eggplants right here, which we'll begin in a second, and I'm going to show you the process for this. We have the stew currently going. We sauteed some pork belly. We took the fat, we cooked the garlic and ginger in it. We poured in some water, we poured in some light soy sauce, some dark soy sauce, and we added a bunch of enoki mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, and half a sliced up onion. Later on, we're gonna add the spinach, we're gonna add the noodles. It's going to be an excellent feast. In the meantime, we have to start stuffing our eggplants, and I'm gonna show you exactly what that looks like. Who's ready to sound their eggplants? Who's ready to stuff their eggplants? Please ignore what I just said. That was fucking stupid. Here's what we do. Let's take a nice big plate, and we're gonna just put it directly onto the steamer. Okay? This is the eggplant station. In fact, I think we'll just do it like this. That will be perfect. We don't need a spoon for this. We're just going to use our fingers, okay? I'm gonna grab some gloves, but we also gotta grab the steamer. Okay, there it is. So here's the order of operations. We take an eggplant, we stuff it, and then we put it into the steamer basket nice and tight, okay? And then we just get that done out of the way and done in advance to make our lives a lot easier. So let's glove up and let's start stuffing. I think it's time for us to start stuffing these eggplants. I'm gonna show you, it's really easy. Use your hands. I will be avoiding using my hands directly by using gloves because I have very delicate, dainty hands. I have eczema, okay? I'm gonna give my stew another stir in the meantime, just to make sure she's doing good. How are we doing today? We doing good? She's doing wonderful. She's happy to see me. Okay, cooking down those shiitakes and getting a beautiful, delicious mushroom stock in that process. Okay, take your hands. You gotta get messy. You gotta get down and dirty for something like this. Putting them on. We're gonna get that spoon out of the way. That stuffing that we made, it is seasoned, it is delicious. I can't wait for it. Okay, spoon. Take it out of there, use your fingers, get the rest of it off. I'm gonna go ahead and chuck that into the sink. Now, we take an eggplant. Remember, it's held, it's intact. We take the stuffing and we just pour it inside. We get it inside. We smother all of it, all the way around. Get comfortable with this process. Season it all the way. Cover all of it up. Get it on the outside, get it on the inside, get it everywhere. Okay? This is why you want gloves for this. Spoons won't do as good of a job for this. Okay? Get it all in there, my friends. Get all of that beautiful stuffing that we've worked so hard to make in there. Inside and the outside, that's right. Maybe not as stuffed as I would have liked it to be then. But look at this. Look at that beautiful eggplant. Seasoned beautifully now. And now we plop it down into our steamer, like so. Next one. Grab it. And we're going to fill it up. We're going to fill it up, my friends. Season it from the outside. We're going to plop it open on the inside as well. This is a very messy process to do from the angle that I'm doing it right now. I don't know why I chose to reach over my table like this. I don't think it gives you guys the best view of this. Okay. I learned this from Mangchi, by the way. If you know anything about Korean cooking, then you know who Mangchi is. This is who I've learned every Korean dish from. Okay? She is excellent. The work that she does on YouTube. She is really lovely. Okay. That's a lot better. I think that's gonna make my life a lot easier. Okay, next eggplant. Take it and we're gonna stuff it up, my friends. I should have done this over a bigger bowl, I think, is my one issue with my process so far. Mangchi, M-A-A-N-G-C-H-I. Mangchi is wonderful. She has done a really good job of bringing Korean food in a very accessible way to an English-speaking audience. And even though while I disagree with some of her recipes and stuff, I've learned so much from her ever since I've begun to make Korean food all the time. I love Korean food. I love it to death. I love the flavors. I love the flavor profile. I love the dishes. I love everything about Korean food. And people, you want to know what's the most tragic thing about Korean food? The thing that people know about Korean food, they think, oh, Korean barbecue. That's all they think about. And if not Korean barbecue, they think it's just japchae and jjigae. But there is so much excellent Korean food out there that people don't know. The Korean home food, my friends. That's where it's at. Okay? Beautiful. Look at this eggplant. Seasoned and stuffed up. So this dish I got from her. So before I ever try to make something on my own, or try to do my own spin on something, I always do it the traditional way, right? But I agree with all of the steps so far. And guys, I gotta say, I love so many different Asian preparations of eggplant, not to generalize them, but I feel like in the West, let's think about it for a second. Let's think about Mediterranean eggplant dishes. They're almost always dips. Mediterranean eggplant dishes or Middle Eastern eggplant dishes, you have them be charred on the outside, and then they get blended up and made into a dip, okay? In the United States, I feel like we mistreat our eggplants pretty heavily. And I don't really love things like eggplant parmesan. I don't think it's very optimal because the eggplant just ends up soaking up so much oil when you fry it that way, and you don't get to cook it all the way through most of the time. I don't think it's a very good way to cook it. Oh, look at this, my friends. Look at the stacked eggplant in here. Yes, and this, my friends, look at this beautiful dish. And this was so simple. This was so easy. We made a stuffing. Okay, we made a stuffing, we cut up some eggplant, and then we're gonna steam it. That's it, 3 steps. It's basically 3 steps. And I think this is gonna taste delicious. I've never eaten this before, but I love eggplant, and I love steamed eggplant. Can you make eggplant lasagna? Yes, I can make eggplant lasagna, Kirby. Well, hold on, do you guys make eggplant lasagna? There's a Greek dish, right? There's moussaka, right? Isn't that what that is? But there's also French lasagna. French lasagna has French lasagna because there's a lot of cultural exchange. By the way, you have to understand. There's a lot of cultural culinary exchange, as I've learned from my French friends, between France and Italy. French lasagna has stuff like zucchini inside of it. It has pasta. It has a bechamel. And it might have some eggplant in there too, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Duolingo has my family asks, do you think there's a next ethnic cuisine you'll dive into, or do you think Korean food is the end game? Food is going to be a lifelong process for me. I am going to learn everything there is to learn about food. I already know a lot. I know a lot about so many different things, but there's so many specific, I know a lot when it comes to theory. I know a lot when it comes to culinary philosophy. I know a lot when it comes to these really big concepts, but there's so many cuisines that I don't consider myself too educated in. Also, we ended up using all of this stuffing. Wow. Excellent. So learning how to make things is going to be a lifelong process for me. Now, whether or not I'll learn another ethnic cuisine, that is still to be decided. I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. But for the foreseeable future, I want to do a deep dive. I want to become an expert on Korean cooking. I want to be able to understand it. I want to understand why are these things the way they are? Why are they used in these ways? How did this come to be? And then how can I play around with these dishes and flavors in a way that I am educated and competent enough to do so? Look at this eggplant. Stuff it in. Beautiful, my friends. That is going to make an excellent dish. I'm gonna get my gloves off. Get them off me. Ugh. Gonna toss these away. Boop. Look at this eggplant. I'm gonna quickly clean up though, because I ended up getting some on my fingers. You don't wanna get this stuff in your eyes. Oh shit, I totally forgot about the rice. I'm so silly. While I was stuffing and talking, that has to cook for 16 minutes. Or 17. Let's give the mushroom stew beautiful, nice little stir. It smells and tastes delicious now that the mushroom stock is building. Okay. Let me get all this stuff out of here. Clean this up for a second. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this off. Get it out of here. And it's a good thing, this is the kind of thing that we can do in advance, right? We just prep that and now that's just going to take 20 minutes to cook once we get it steaming. Now, traditionally, to my understanding, you don't want this thing so soft that it's falling apart, but that's how I like my eggplant. Huh. I don't know if you'll become an expert in all of Filipino food, but I do love Filipino food. Okay. Excellent. I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly wash this stuff off. Just so that it doesn't dry out. It's gonna make my life a lot easier. Clean things now as opposed to later. And then we can analyze what's happening with the stew, okay? We can give it a good old look. I am very excited for the eggplant dish. I think above all the other dishes. This is the one that I'm most excited for today. And it's completely new to me. I've never had this before, but I'm imagining like this really, really soft, supple texture of the eggplant once it's been like properly steamed and cooked through. And I just can't wait to eat it. I really can't wait to eat it. Everything that I make it in here and on stream is home food, my friends. None of these are restaurant dishes. This is home food. This is stuff that's ideal at home. And this was so easy to prepare. Normally, eggplant, I'm gonna say right now, eggplant can be a bit of a bitch, okay? Wait, did I just throw my glove into water? What happened here? Had a clean glove fall into my glass of water. That was weird. Okay. Let's have a sip of the stew. Let's see how that's been going. And see what it needs at this point. All right, let's go take a look. Head back to the stove. Oh no. Okay, give it all a nice little stir. It's boiling a little aggressively now for my taste. And at this point, the mushrooms would be like fully cooked. But guys, you can't really overcook a mushroom. You can cook mushrooms for hours and hours without it ever getting too soft. Okay? That's because mushrooms, they have chitin in them. I don't know too much about the actual molecular biology of that, but basically it stays firm when it's cooked. Whereas meat might get tough, vegetables might fall apart, chitin stays really nice and firm. And that's why you can't really overcook mushrooms. Dara says, Naira Haley, can I do anything to fix my rice if it came out too mushy? Am I just screwed? Yes, you're screwed. I'm going to tell you why. Your rice absorbed too much water and the starch swelled too much. Okay? Your rice absorbed too much water. If it came out mushy, cook it next time with less water. There's nothing that you can do, I think. You could always try to cook it over an open heat, but I don't think it does anything. Do you know of a way to make them not feel like a mushroom? You can puree them. Asks Selena. So if you don't like the texture of mushrooms, first of all, I recommend you try the texture of some other mushrooms. Because all mushrooms, they have a different texture. If you're talking about the texture of like a portobello cremini and like a white button mushroom, they all feel the same. But past that, every single mushroom feels differently. A king oyster and an enoki and a shiitake, they all feel different. But past that, try to make like a mushroom puree soup. I like doing that. Or think of like a duxelle, right? Which is like really finely chopped up mushrooms and sometimes with liver. Okay, let's taste. Let's see, how's it going? Let's get to know the stew that we were making. Oh, my friends. Let me tell you right now. In the time that the mushrooms have cooked, and that was only like 15 minutes or so, and the time that it has cooked, it has amassed so much flavor in that stock. And it's only gonna get more flavorful when we add the pork back in, when we add some sesame oil, when we add some fish sauce. That's a beautiful stew. That is a beautiful, beautiful stew. And we're just extracting as much flavor from it as humanly possible. I wanna also sneak one of these mushroom halves to see, is this going to produce the juicy shiitake that I've been looking for? Guys, let me tell you, I love shiitake mushrooms to death. I love shiitake mushrooms to death. I love the snap of them. I love the texture. I love the juiciness, especially in a hot pot. That was my inspiration. I was thinking about hot pot, and I was thinking about how much I love shiitake in hot pot. That's so good. That's so flavorful. I love shiitakes. I love shiitakes, man. Okay. Let me chill out. I got a little excited there for a second. But I do mean it. Okay, the steaming basket is ready to go for when we need it. Meaning we should probably start boiling that now. The pork is already cooked. The final components are just going to be the scallion, it's going to be the spinach, it's going to be the fish sauce, and then we'll season it with more soy sauce as we see fit. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour some water into this. And when you want this water boiling, you don't want the top of it to start splashing against the eggplant. Okay, so we're only filling it up to a certain point. Okay? We want to steam the eggplant. We don't want to boil it. Is it from an anime? No. Good question. This shirt is from Omori. Maple syrup? I don't know about maple syrup here. I don't know. You could do a little bit of sugar if you wanted like some kind of sweetness, but I think it's fine. I think it's excellent the way it is. Okay. That's going. We bring it up to a boil, and then we put the eggplants in, and that cooks for about 20 minutes. The rice is going, the pork is done. That pork is no joke. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Taking a second to put some things away while we have it. Lower the heat. And again, if this reduces too much, we can always add a little splash of liquid extra, but I would prefer to do this at the end because I don't want a soup that's too watered down. I don't want a stew that's too watered down. Okay. These are my noodles. I'm gonna just throw these into a different bag and put them into my cabinet. And I'm really excited to see how the noodles turn out. Okay, I've never actually cooked glass noodles before, and thus today is my experiment. I'm sorry, Duolingo has my family. That is the consequence of being in the Daramgar stream. Also, guys, fun fact: you know what you can do to vacuum seal stuff, and if you don't have a vacuum sealer, take the plastic bag. I live at home. I live at home by myself. It's fine. Vacuum sealed, kind of. I didn't get all of it out, but you get the idea. I'm gonna just throw this into the cabinet. Alongside the gochujang. I have no use for it. This we just want to get up to a nice aggressive boil. Okay. We could probably do the fish sauce now. Let's do the fish sauce now because I do want some of the fishiness to cook out. It's not traditional to cook fish sauce so heavily, but I want to give it some oomph. I want it to give the dish some oomph. And I don't want to have too much of a fishy note, okay? So we'll do a couple of tablespoons of that, if I can find a tablespoon. Let's see. One. We'll do 2 big of these spoonfuls for now, okay? And fish sauce, of course, can smell always a little if you're not used to it, if you didn't grow up with it. Favorite fish to eat, asks me, sis. So, it's a good question. What is my favorite fish to eat? I do like fluke. I do like the texture of fluke. You know, I had a langoustine, even if it's not like a fish. I had a langoustine recently. I had a friend take me out to a dinner that had a langoustine. Oh, it was fucking incredible. Langoustines are so good. Beautiful stock that we have here, filled with those mushrooms. I'm gonna have a little taste again, see how it's going. Waiting on the water in the steamer to boil. Let me tell you, you can immediately feel the inclusion of the fish sauce. It's excellent. So langoustines, they're really fancy. Think of them as like really fancy shrimp that cost a lot more than a lobster. Langoustines are like $140 a pound. She took me out to a dinner and I had a langoustine and it was amazing. Yes, Zio, you can do that. You can do the, I forgot what that method is called, but I've seen people do that. I'm not trying to brag. Also, I do use edits, I don't use sheet. But guys, let me tell you, the inclusion of the fish sauce, it made it really, really beautiful. It gave it like such a meatiness right off the bat, okay? Scrape up the sides, make sure that all of that just goes back into the stew. You don't want to waste any of it. It is getting a little bit thin for me, right? That's a little too, or rather too evaporated. We're gonna get some more water in here. And soon we're gonna add the spinach, I think. The noodles have been soaking this whole time, don't forget about them. And I think we can probably do another splash of soy sauce. Let's do another splash of soy. Let's do another splash of dark soy sauce. Oh no, that was a light soy sauce, whoops. Dark soy sauce, save me. Splash in. Excellent. Gonna give the whole thing a nice color too. And we're just cooking this and we're extracting more and more flavor out of these mushrooms. The onion in there is making the whole thing nice and sweet. Save us dark soy sauce. Okay. Oh, so good. That is excellent. Yes, there is light soy sauce and dark soy sauce to each. It's a good question. Dark soy sauce and light soy sauce, that distinction is often made a lot in Chinese cuisine. And it's because dark soy sauce is a lot more fermented, okay? It's a lot heavier. The water on the steamer is almost boiling. The rice is almost done in just a few minutes. And then we'll mix it up and I'll show you what the rice looks like. And look at these eggplants. Look at these eggplants, my friends. Beautiful, huh? Gorgeous. Let's have a little recap session. Let's have a recap. Let's talk about everything that's just happened for anybody that might just be tuning in because we're slowing down. We're just cooking things now. Okay? So on the stove at the moment, let's head to the stove again. We have currently cooking mushrooms, onions, and a bunch of fish sauce, soy sauce, ginger, and garlic. We originally started it off by sauteing a bunch of pork. The pork that we have right here. This is a bunch of pork belly. Okay? And now we're getting this delicious mushroom broth. And we're gonna add in some scallions, we're gonna add in some glass noodles, and it's going to make an excellent stew alongside some spinach. It's gonna be really healthy, really vegetal. Over here, for 4 more minutes of cook time, we have some rice going, and we have a steamer going as well. And in this pot is going to go this eggplant that we made with a lot of love. Guys, let me tell you, I put a lot of love into these bad boys. Look at this. These are beautiful Chinese eggplants, okay? We took some onions, we took some garlic, we took some scallions, we sauteed that in oil. Then we dumped it out, we mixed all of those beautiful like sauteed alliums with soy sauce, with gochujang, Korean chili paste, fermented chili paste, gochugaru, fermented Korean chili flakes, well not fermented, but you know, sesame seeds, sesame oil, black pepper. And then we took all that, we made a paste, and we massaged it inside of the eggplant that we scored. So it's inside and outside of the eggplant. That's a lot of love. I give these things a lot of love. That's right. Okay? And so what we're waiting for? We're waiting for the steamer, the pot, to come to a boil. We want that water to be nice and hot. We're gonna plop these in. These are gonna take about 20 minutes to cook, 17 minutes to cook. And we're going to finish making the stew in that time because we have to still cook the spinach, we have to still cook the scallions, and we still have to finish cooking the pork a little bit more. And we have to cook the glass noodles. So good. And the mushrooms are excellent. The mushrooms are getting nice and juicy, and they're imparting all of their flavor into the broth. And it's not overpoweringly gingery either. The ginger just adds such like a nice aromatic note to this. And the ginger, it fried. It fried in the oil that the pork fat released when we cooked up the pork belly. This is so simple. Just the soy sauce and the fish sauce and the mushrooms together give it so much oomph. It gives it so much oomph, it gives it so much meatiness. And by the way, guys, for the next 20 minutes, if anybody has any questions, this would be the best time to ask it because we don't have that much left to do. I'm still waiting. A watch pot never boils, right? So I'm waiting on that water in the steamer to boil. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you would like to ask me, I am here at your disposal. There is no such thing as a bad question, and I'm just happy to ask. I'm happy to be an influence. I want to help all of you become better cooks. I want to teach you all how to cook at home. And let me tell you, this eggplant right here is one of my favorite things that I've done in a long time. It was so easy to prepare all of this at home, and I just got to throw this into the steamer. It's full of flavor as it is, and I just can't wait to actually be able to sink my teeth into it. Okay? Good. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Oh, man, I'm getting tired of Pokemon Lo-Fi, I have to say. For all of the streams, we've been doing nothing but Pokemon Lo-Fi. I feel like I should do like a little music switch up at some point. We should do something different soon. Okay, I have a feeling that the steamer is ready to go. Is it boiling? It is boiling, my friends. Okay, it's time. All we have to do, we take the eggplant, we plop it in there, nice tight lid on it. We're gonna drop that heat a little bit so that it doesn't boil over. We don't want the water to splash up to the top. Okay? And guess what? The rice is just about done as well. We're gonna set the timer to about 20 minutes. We're gonna check on it at 17 and see if it's fully cooked. But don't touch it. Don't open up that steam. We need that steam in there so that it cooks it through, okay? I'm gonna show you the rice. Let's go back here, just for a second, and we are going to open up the rice, my friends. Let's grab a spoon so that we can fluff it up. I don't have anything smaller, do I? I'm going to use up my small spoon. Okay, chopsticks it is. Chopsticks it is. So, look at the rice. Perfect. Soaked everything up, soaked all the water up. Look at the texture on this rice. Phenomenal. We're using the chopsticks to just fluff it up. Look at the texture of this rice. This is stovetop rice done the way that I do it. Okay? Nice and soft, but still granular. You can feel every single little piece there. Let's get it out of here. We're gonna take it off the heat, and this just now needs to rest until we're ready to eat. Minimum 5 minutes though. Minimum 5 minutes. Okay. So I remember there was a question a little bit above. What about nice, easy desserts? Any recommendations? Asks Kirby Rowland. Easy. I don't normally make a lot of recipes that are easy. However, there is one that comes to mind. This is a very simple dish that I learned. And it is the easiest chocolate ganache that you could possibly think of. This is literally just melted 1-to-1 ratio of heavy cream, and then go buy the best dark chocolate that you can. 1-to-1 ratio of heavy cream to dark chocolate, maybe it's like a 1-to-2 ratio. And you're gonna melt the chocolate into the heavy cream. You can flavor it with some spices, you can flavor it with some mint, and you can just pour it into a mold, or you can pour it directly into, let's say if you have like a crust, let's say you make like a graham cracker crust or something. That is the easiest dessert that I could possibly think of. Easy. I don't make a lot of easy desserts otherwise though, because I don't make desserts as it is. I try not to eat sugar. I try to look after that. And try to like exclude any added sugar in my diet. So I do avoid that kind of stuff generally. Okay, this has all cooked down Let's keep scraping up the sides of the pot here. We're gonna taste it again. I have a feeling this is gonna need some more fish sauce. But I do wanna add the spinach now. Because this isn't baby spinach, this is adult spinach. It takes a little second longer to cook. And we wanna be able to evaporate some of the water from the spinach too, okay? So simple, but so full of flavor. Hello, Gigi. Welcome, welcome. Yes, this is the quick cooking show that all of the... Hello to Possum and Gigi. Yes, this is what all the Bushwick eggs are talking about. Okay. Now, here's what we do, my friends. Spinach. We're gonna add it in now because it needs a little bit of time to cook, and we want to evaporate any of the water that could come out of the spinach. This was washed, cleaned thoroughly, and I dropped some on the floor. Ah, that's for later then. Just get it all in there and all that spinach is gonna wilt down beautifully. Okay? And I'm thinking, do we do a fried egg with this? Do I throw a fried egg on top? Decisions. All of that spinach now inside. Gorgeous. We're gonna cook this down. We want the spinach to wilt. We want it to get nice and soft. And most importantly, we want it to release its water so that it doesn't dilute the stew itself. Okay? I have a feeling this is gonna need some like fish sauce and soy sauce and stuff. Always a fried egg on top of everything? Listen, I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it heavily at the moment. We'll see. Oh no, originally I was gonna do an onsen tamago. I forgot I was going to do like a hot water egg. That'd be like a poached egg coming out of the shell. I forgot about it. That's annoying. Ugh, that's what I want. I was like, why am I missing an egg component in this? Oh yeah, I didn't do one of the components I wanted in this stew. Guys, this is a stew. It's difficult to mess this up. The only thing we're just trying not to mess up is we're trying to not overcook the pork. Everything else just falls into place. We're gonna do some more fish sauce in here. A little bit more, because I feel like it needs it. Perfect. And we're gonna do another splash of dark soy sauce. Okay? We want this to be flavorful, my friends. That's what I'm talking about. That's good. I love fish sauce. Love it. All right, any other comments, questions? We have about 15 more minutes of cook time on these eggplants. Maybe like 10 minutes. We'll see what it looks like. We'll take a look at it. It's steaming in there really, really nicely. Oh, I can't wait to eat that. And the rice is already done, so all we have to do is just take it out of the pot. No, Gigi, I will not ban possum from chat. I will not do that. But that is a good question. I will not do that though, I'm sorry. Guys, can you take your flirting outside? This is a serious cooking production, and my friends have come in here to flirt with each other in Twitch chat. I'm fine. It's actually fine. It's not a big deal. I don't mind at all. It's pretty entertaining. Ugh. Can't keep it to yourselves, can you? Okay. But yes, we have about 15 more minutes to kill in the meantime. I could also still think about the plating of it all. Good job, Gigi. Yes, you do. Let's think about the plating, everybody. So, we're going to need a bowl of rice. Everything here is going to go onto some rice. The eggplant I'm actually not going to separately plate up. Hello, Slam Val. Hope you're having a lovely day today. Or is that Siam Val? I never really asked you. Either way, welcome, Val. So, let's think about the plating of this all. Here's what I want. I want a bowl. You know why I want a bowl? Because I'm going to fill this thing up with rice. Okay? This is where my rice is going to go. Time to go to bed. Okay, Kirby, thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate you. And thank you for the sub. I hope you stop by another time. It's whatever. I can choose. Well, I was asking about your preference. Okay. This is where the rice is going to go. And then let's have the stew. You know what? No. Let's do this better. I'm going to have two separate bowls. Just like this, side by side. Okay? Then I'm going to get a big plate for it. And on that little plate is where I'm going to put the eggplant. Okay, good. Something like this. This plate is too small for this, but that's okay. We make it work anyways. And then over here is where I'm going to serve up the eggplant itself, and I'm going to put it over the rice. And we're going to eat this with some chopsticks. Let's have a sip. Let's taste how the stew is. Oh yeah, that's good. The mushrooms have made this thing so delicious. In about 7 minutes more cook time on the eggplant before we take a little sneak peek at it. Okay, so I've already planned this out. I like doing this ahead of time just so I know where everything is gonna go. And then we gotta think, what are we going to plate it with? Well, we're going to need a ladle, won't we? We will need a ladle. So I'm gonna make sure I get that out now, ahead of time. And we still haven't added the glass noodles yet. I don't know how long to cook glass noodles. Tastes like chicken. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure what aspect here tastes like chicken. The pork? Not really. Hello, audio movie. Hope you're having a good day today. How long do I need to cook glass noodles for after I soak them? Okay, like 5 minutes or so. We'll see. I'm not too worried about overcooking them. They've been soaking this whole time, right? So they've been sitting in a bowl, they've been soaking up this cold water so that it doesn't soak up any of the stew and it doesn't get like too dry, because this has the potential to do so. I should probably drain the water out of these now though. That's right, made of real glass. That's right, these glass noodles. Real glass went into this. That's how you know we have dedication. Ooh, you know what we'll do? We'll add these scallions now. We'll add these scallions. These bad boys will go in right now. Because I want these slightly softened. And then we'll garnish with some more scallions at the end. We're cooking down the spinach. It's all coming together, baby. It's all coming together. It's all coming according to plan. I should have planned out the stream a little bit more, that I had more active things to do. I'm also going to do a little splash of sesame oil into the stew itself. Even though we have plenty of sesame oil in the eggplant itself, I just think it'd be a nice touch here. Let's have a sip. That's good. With the sesame oil, it's really good. And I think the whole thing is going to need some more salt. So while we've been adding soy sauce for salt, I don't want any more soy flavor. I just want salt now. So a nice big pinch or two of salt. Because we have all that spinach, we have all those mushrooms, they're all bland, we had all the water. So we have to compensate for it. Okay. That's good. The salt really enhances all of it. It really brings it all together. Possum asks, did you see the dumb colander thing on Twitter that sits next to your sink with the spat on it? I have seen those. I don't like those. It's ridiculous. It's silly. But it is time to strain out the noodles because they've been soaking, and we're gonna throw them in right now. Okay? I just wanna get all that excess water out of them so that it doesn't dilute the stew. I'm gonna grab my bowl of noodles here, pour out all the liquid that I don't need. Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead and shake it all out. You guys ready for the glass noodles to be added in? Let's add them in. All of these noodles. That might have been way too many fucking noodles, but I don't think I could. That was too many noodles. That is definitely too many noodles. Okay? And we just cook them for about 5 minutes or so, is my understanding of how these bad boys operate. Let's get that back up to a boil. We want to cook these until they're nice and tender. And then we'll add the meat back in just to heat it back up. Okay? No such thing as too many noodles. That's right. You are correct. I should listen to you more. My own instincts were incorrect in that moment where I said, oh, this is too many noodles. No, it's plenty. In fact, it's also just not going to soak up any of the excess liquid because we did the pre-soaking, right? It's not gonna make this thing dry. Let's keep them moving around. I don't think they'll stick with each other, but we're going to move it around just in case. Oh, they're clumping together, just like sticking with each other. Okay. They do look pretty spectacular, I have to say. I can't imagine that these will take too long to cook. Let's see what the texture is. I think that was a mushroom. It's very difficult to differentiate the enoki mushrooms from the glass noodles like that. Let's have a little sip. Let's have a little taste. I have some more chopsticks in here. And then we'll check on the eggplant in like 3 minutes. All right. Still a little too bouncy, but that is delicious. That, I love glass noodles. Guys, I fucking love glass noodles. That texture is incredible. If you've never had any, you are missing out. You're absolutely missing out. They are lovely. Gorgeous. I'm still feeling like we need a little something something. I'm still missing a little bit of oomph. I'm thinking a little bit more salt. A little bit more salt, and we'll fill the pork in just to heat it back up. And then this will be done. There it all goes. All that fat as well. We want that pork fat in there, okay? The pork fat is gonna be a lot of extra flavor, and it's gonna give the whole thing some really, really nice substance. Right, so it's not just straight broth and water. Let's mix it all up. Look at this stew. Beautiful. I'm very excited about the stew. That is a lot of pork now that I'm looking at it, like all laid out like this. Now let's try to see if we can divide up the noodles a little bit and try to get like stuff in between them because they like to keep to themselves and I don't want to let that happen. I want to toss them in there. I want to get them all acquainted with each other. Let's have a little taste of the pork. Excellent. Let's have a little taste of the glass noodle. That is beautiful. That is really beautiful, my friends. Okay, I think we can just shut off the heat. We don't want this to cook through anymore. That is done for me. And guess what? The eggplant we can check on as well. In just like a minute. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. In fact, let's just get the plating done now while we wait for that eggplant, my friends. Okay? So, we're gonna go ahead and put this into this bowl. Nice little scoop of that. Ooh, trying to scoop this in is going to be a challenge, I think. Because glass noodles, if they're anything, they are long. And they don't want to go places they don't want to go into. Oh, shit. Oh, man, these are so fucking long. How am I supposed to do this? What am I supposed to do here? Besides break them up? People do that with glass noodles all the time. They have to, like, break these up so they're not, like, that splashed everywhere. Oh, that sucks so bad. All right, let's see if chopsticks will be better than a big old ladle for this job. Okay, it seems like that might be the tool of choice in this case, but this noodle wants nothing to do with us, so we will let him go. Guys, I'm trying my best here. Okay, and now let's get some of the mushroom. And now let's get some of the broth in as well. But man, those noodles soaked up that broth. I see. Okay. Whew. All right. All right, my friends, let's go take a look at the eggplant. Let's head to the stove again. I'm gonna go ahead and switch this pot right here out with the other one so that you guys can get a nice good look at it all. Okay? And now, let's take this bad boy off the heat. I have a feeling he's fully cooked through. Let's take a look at the eggplant. Ho, 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 ho. That's a nice looking steamed eggplant. Let me tell you, that is tender. Beautiful. That does look really, really good. Now, here's what I want to know. Are the ones on top fully cooked through? Ooh, some of it is a little firmer than I'd like it to be. Let's crank up that heat. Let's cook it 3 more minutes. I think this should cook longer. It tastes wonderful though. 3 more minutes on that heat. Delicious though. Delicious. Okay, let's head back over here. The stew, I know it doesn't look all that appealing. It's just kind of gray and green, but it is full of lovely flavor. Okay? And then we're going to go ahead and get some rice out and spoon that out, or chopstick it out, I guess. Let's have a little portion of that. And I'm going to give the eggplant a few more minutes. And again, the way that Korean food works, everything at the end of the day comes back to flavoring the rice. That's too much. A little too much rice for me. Everything is in service of the rice. Everything is to moisten it. Everything is to flavor it. 3 more minutes on the eggplant. And then we'll pull it out. Using chopsticks as a verb goes on the bingo card. Yeah, you're right. I don't think anybody's ever said that before. Well, I'm sure somebody has. Wow, those glass noodles really do soak up that stock. But man, I just want to taste. I want to taste some of the glass noodles. I want to cheat. I want to cheat a little bit. I want to have a nice little chopstick full of that. But they really, you get so many in one bite. I love the texture of glass noodles. They're so good. They're so good. I literally can't stress to you enough how delicious the texture is. It's just bouncy and it's delicious. It is wonderful stuff. The eggplant is almost done steaming, and then we'll serve it up as well. It's gonna be excellent. You guys excited? Are you all excited? I wanna hear a yes, chef, if you're excited. And if you say no, chef, I'll be very sad and I'll start crying all by myself. And you wouldn't want me to do that, would you? I don't think you'd want that. Look at that, excellent. Sorry if there's like anybody that's like doing something else while they cook, while they watch me cook, and they have to like hustle back to their computer in a big sweat to say yes, chef again. Real? Wow, okay. 20 seconds left, it's fine, it doesn't matter. Let's go and take another look at the eggplant, my friends. I have a feeling that it's ready this time. Again, I like the eggplant really, really soft, right? Hence why I think I cooked it a little bit longer than others would have liked me to. But that's okay, because I'm cooking for myself. Let's get these out of there and onto the plate. These are the stuffed eggplants. Excellent. Building up their own sauce there at the bottom. Gorgeous. Ah, perfect. Some people may say it's falling apart. I think it's perfect. That is just the way I like my eggplants. Whoop. Just covered in that stuffing that we made. Lovely. That's what I'm talking about. This plate might have been too small for them, but I don't care. Everybody, let's take a look. Take a look. Look at the eggplant now that it's steamed. Gorgeous. That's what I'm talking about. I fucking love eggplant. Okay. And then we're gonna take one of those eggplants and we're gonna put it on top of the rice that we have. Okay. Ooh, hold on. Let's get just this. This is gonna be my dinner today. But I do prefer lately to eat things off stream. I am gonna try everything in front of you guys right now, but that's gonna go over the rice. And then, finally, remember these scallions that we set aside? Scallions on top, scallions on top. Beautiful. Okay, my friends, guess what? We've officially made everything for today's stream. We've done it all. Over here, we have the beautiful stew. We sauteed some pork belly. We cooked some ginger. We cooked some garlic. We added some light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, added shiitake mushrooms, onions, and enoki mushrooms. And we made a beautiful stock out of all of that. And then we added some spinach. We added some fish sauce. We added even more scallions, even more allium flavor. Okay, and finish it off with the glass noodles. Really vegetable, really healthy. Over here on top of some rice, we have the steamed stuffed eggplant, this Korean stuffed eggplant. So it has gochujang, it has gochugaru, it has sesame oil, sesame seeds, okay? It has black pepper, it has onions, it has garlic, and it also has scallions in there. We garnish the whole thing with scallions. So which one am I trying first? I'm gonna try the eggplant first. Let's try that with a little piece of rice. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, that is lovely. This eggplant right here. Guys, let me tell you. That was so simple, and that is so delicious. And then all the stuffing that drips out just comes back into the rice. And then this, we'll also eat this over the rice. Get a little bit of pork, get a little noodle, get a little bit of spinach. The pork is excellent. So fatty. Such a nice chew to it. That mushroom is perfectly juicy. And then we'll get some of the noodles and we'll put that over the rice. Guys, those glass noodles, they're phenomenal. That texture is to die for, let me tell you. That is so good. I love the chew to them. Okay, everybody, final questions. Anything that you want to say to me? Anything at all? And we're gonna get out of here in a second. Ooh. Ooh. My nose is running because the gochujang is so spicy. That's just Korean food. Final questions, comments, concerns, anything that you want to say to me at all. Before we get out of here, let's see who's streaming. See who's live on Twitch. Sis asked me how to improve this dish now that I've made it. I need more salt, I need more soy sauce in the eggplant itself. This dish is perfect. I think I would have liked to do that with stock next time though. The tools you eat with change the way you savor the food. That's right, Cabbage Head. You're absolutely right. Okay. Let's see who's live. Oh, I see Willow's live. Okay. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of you being here. I'm going to see you guys next time, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Not too much noodles at all. Yes, my meals are often that perfect. We're going to go ahead and say hi to Willow. I hope you all have an excellent rest of your Friday nights. Take care. Appreciate you all. Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time is going to be the next stream. And I just hope you all have a good evening.